Please be advised that everything in my video is purely for entertainment purposes. These are purely my thoughts and opinions and are subjective. I must advise you to please do your own research. All media users found on the public domain and are fair use and fair dealings.
Hi everyone! So, not quite the news we'd all expected, little bit massively, hugely disappointed. I wonder if the Queen had some sort of shove in this because the implications of dragging members of staff, household staff and people into it. I don't know, I can't personally see how this judgment, given all of the inconsistencies, but I guess maybe it's money, maybe it's position, maybe it's something, but I can't imagine if anyone else who wasn't famous had this many sort of like I've said before, more holes in a block of Swiss cheese, that, you know, they would have been granted a summary judgment. I think it's really unfair, just because that everything that she did to her father, with the Friends, with the People magazine. So yeah, I just don't agree with it. I'm sure more stuff will come out in the newspapers in the next couple of days. I have read that A&L are considering challenging the judgment, from what I've read as well on lots of different media forums where people are allowed to comment, that many members of the public think that this is a wrong decision and they really hope that A&L actually do challenge it. I think they should. There are elements that I did read about the letter which I do agree with Justice Warby, which was if they had just released snippets of Meghan's letter which challenged what was released in People magazine, then you could turn around and say that Thomas released bits of the letter to defend himself, but they did release large parts of the letter which had no relation to various things that were said in People magazine. That being said, as I said, I don't agree with it. I think there's something definitely underhanded that's gone on, but that's just my personal opinion. So some of you know that I have received Samantha Markle's book. I am actually having 3 days out next week, going to a top secret location where I will be able to read my book completely undisturbed and yeah, just getting stuck into it really. I don't really want to do a review and take away interest in Samantha Markle's books. I do speak to her occasionally and I just, you know, I wish her the best of luck and to get the best sales that she can out of this. I think that the way that the Markle family on the whole have been treated is pretty disgusting. So if they can make a quick buck out of it just like their, well, sister and daughter, then I say fair play to them. So that's enough about them briefly for a while. Anyway, let's talk about Catherine and William. Catherine and William might not be out and about, but it has not slowed down their dedication to drawing attention and speaking to people to do with Child Mental Health Week, to do with the Earthshot Prize, to do with NHS workers. Near enough every single day there is a new video clip of either one of them or both of them together, if we're lucky, actually chatting to people. They are definitely making their presence known. Speaking of Child Mental Health Week, Catherine has been actually encouraging children, whether they're being taught in schools or whether they're being home taught, to actually draw pictures of their feelings and how they're feeling or what makes them happy. And there's been some lovely pictures that have been coming in. If you wish to enter, you just post your picture onto Twitter and just make sure that you add @Kensington Royal to it. So there's quite a few lovely little pictures here. My favourite one's this little kid. His happy place or her happy place is cake. That kid, that definitely is the mentality of most of us, especially in lockdown. Cake, make us happy. So William has been working still on the Earthshot Prize. He has been speaking to UNEP, which are the Young Champions of the Earth, with regards to the Earthshot Prize. There is still a lot to be done behind the scenes, but I really cannot wait to see more and more information coming out in the media of what's being proposed, what ideas people are coming up with from all around the world. It would be great to see when the prizes start getting handed out. And as a couple together, we actually did see a cute little video, them smiling all the time. They were chatting to nurses in Northern Ireland, student nurses, and just seeing how they've been coping, what it's like living day to day, actually working on wards and dealing with everything that the worldwide bug is causing. Catherine's smile is absolutely infectious, and I love seeing little videos of these two together. They're always sort of like cheery and having a laugh and a joke, and I just think it's really nice. You can see that although the subjects that they talk about are very serious, it's having that kind of light-hearted and making people smile. And it must be very nice of people to have a phone call or a Zoom chat from the future King and Queen. Now, speaking of nurses and the NHS, randomly, Harry has now decided that he's going to give his praise to the NHS. Only a year too late after he's jumped ship and left the country, but he has now actually given his praises to the NHS staff. The headlines have read that Harry is actually going to do a 6-part podcast without Meghan to do with the NHS and the Invictus Games. But when you actually read it, it's not being done through Archwell Audio. It's actually the Invictus Games themselves, the community, that are going to be doing these podcasts. Harry is very much the spokesperson, the patron for them, but whilst he might have had some input, I highly doubt that this was his idea. It's a shame really the way the PR always kind of twists these sort of stories. I don't know if it's the media or their PR themselves that are saying, oh, it's Harry's idea, he's doing this, because it takes away the actual community, the people that did think it up. Invictus Games are a massive team of people and athletes that all work together and come up with these things together, and I felt like it was almost stealing it from them by saying, Harry's doing 6 podcasts. From what I have read, the podcasts themselves are to do with the Invictus community coming together. The Invictus Games athletes obviously have a lot to give. They understand what it's like to be away from family from long periods of time, having to reconnect. So many of us are unable to see our family members and our friends, and there doesn't seem to be an end in sight at the moment. Then obviously you've got like the wisdom that comes from, you know, these athletes. A lot of them have got disabilities, they've had amputations, they've had severe brain injuries. You know, they have had to cope through very, very hard times. How when the darkest times are on them, how they've managed to keep their spirits up and to keep persevering and pushing through. They are short on funds. They have had the Invictus Games stopped twice now because of this worldwide bug, and they could do with definitely some more attention being drawn to them. And I think this is a really lovely way to give back to the community doing these podcasts. Harry, as I said, is the spokesperson for them, and there's certain things that old Harry used to like the Invictus Games and care about the Invictus Games. New Harry, as far as I'm concerned, I still remember reading that article that Harry's solicitors called people at the Invictus Games and told them that they could not have their huge fundraiser because they'd signed with Netflix and it was a conflict of interest. This then did get changed to say it was because of the worldwide bug, but I can't help but feel Harry didn't sue them for coming out with that story, so it makes you wonder, doesn't it? It makes you think, if he's not suing them, is there some truth to it? I don't mean to sound cynical when it comes to this, but I just really wish that the PR was more promoted on Invictus Games rather than the media running with stories saying, oh, Prince Harry's doing podcasts without Meghan. They've turned it about Harry and Meghan when it should be about what the Invictus Games communities are going to do. Now, speaking of me being cynical, our favourite bandwagon jumpers or not so favourite jumpers are back. Yes, they are. Just when you have Amanda Gorman that did a very, very inspiring, powerful poem at the Super Bowl. It was actually really moving. I've listened to this a couple of times now. So obviously she has got a huge amount of attention because of this wonderful, as I said, inspiring poem. So up pops Harry and Meghan, guess doing what? Poetry. Not themselves doing poetry, but surprising a group of school children, I think they were supposed to be aged 13, 14 years old, in their online poetry class. I must say that quite a few people pointed out that a lot of the teenagers didn't seem that impressed when you look at the photographs here. Mainly because I'd imagine 13, 14 years old, not many of them know who Harry and Meghan are. Now, they said that it was a surprise. It's one of these shock Zoom calls that Harry and Meghan turn up. Harry and Meghan cannot hack into people's Zoom calls. One person, maybe they don't all know about it, but one person, in this case the teacher, was aware because someone has to send an invite for a person to join a Zoom call. So there's nothing surprise about it. It was reported that he sent them a brief outline of the class and short bios on all of the kids before they did their surprise online visit. Meghan naturally spoke about how, several poems that inspire her. I guess Harry and Meghan are trying to, again, lower the age group that they're trying to appeal to. But as long as the kids have fun and they now know who Harry and Meghan are, I'm sure that their life is so much more enriched. Now, speaking of enriching lives, obviously, Harry and Meghan poetry class, you know what that opened up. Can of worms. Every lyrical genius out there came up with some poems, including me. So I've decided to continue with this video, and this is tongue-in-cheek. You must have a sense of humour with it. I have had to change the wording and exclude a few of the poems because they were a bit rude, a bit too naughty. But anyway, so I'm going to read a few of them out here. I'm not going to post the people's tweets just because I don't know who likes having their tweets posted and who doesn't, so I'm going to read them out to you with a nice montage of Harry and Meghan. There was once a prince called Harry who said only Meghan I'll marry. 2 years did fly when they said bye-bye, and now he's unhappy as Larry. There was an old woman called Markle who had men in her past by the cartful. She conned a dim prince, used lies to convince, and now Harry's a flake and not a rascal. There's more to come. There was once a prince called Harry, a handbag he was destined to carry. He carries it still, whilst his wife raids the till, until she finds someone richer than Harry. Meg and Harry decided to marry on a lovely sunny day. Their duties they did till she was expecting a kid, then unexpectedly ran away. Some of you guys are lyrical geniuses, honestly. There was once a girl from LA. She led a prince of the realm astray. Promised him lots of money and fame, but the worldwide bug spoiled her game, and now they do lame Zoom calls all day. This one I had to change a word, but it was too good not to include. There was once a lady from the States who put out her hoo-ha as bait, and England is where a dumb prince she did snare. Unhappily now she's his fate. Down to the last two. There was an old lady called Meg who conned the royal family and fled. She tried to make money out of using her honey, but ended up hated instead. So we're going to end the video with my poem, and I have to admit it's nowhere near as good as everyone else's poems, but I'm going to get it out there anyway. There was once a prince called Harry who picked the wrong girl to marry. She lied and played orphan Annie, and so he turned on his granny, and that was the end of Prince Harry. See, I was a poet and you didn't know it. Feel free, guys, to add your own. Just post away in the comments. Just keep it clean. Swearing words are trying to be blocked because I don't like seeing lots of that in my comment thread. Harry and Meghan get involved in a poetry class, riding on the coattails of a woman that has just made poetry very, very fashionable. Who'd have thought it? Anyway, guys, I'll be back with you very soon. Take care for now. Bye-bye.
If you like my video, please remember to like and subscribe. Please, angry typist, you will be blocked, so save your fingers the time. If you would like to buy me a coffee, please go to my About page and click the link. Love, Taz.